Hello and welcome to On Point. I'm Kartikeya Sharma. Today we have 3 On Points lined up for you. In On Point 1, we discuss Russia's massive attack on Kyiv involving Oreshnik missile. Why is Putin using nuclear-capable hypersonic missile? In On Point 2, we discuss North India's heat wave-driven tourist rush to hill station from Manali to Nainital. Massive crowds and traffic jams are overwhelming mountain towns. Are India's hill stations prepared for the climate-driven tourism surge? In On Point 3, we discuss the Delhi's Gymkhana Club controversy. One of Delhi's most exclusive power clubs has been ordered to vacate its iconic campus. Is this about unpaid dues and national security, or the end of the elite privilege in Lutyens, Delhi? And now let's take a quick look at the headlines. Police visit Abhishek Banerjee's residence in Kolkata. Visit comes days after civic body issued notice seeking sanctioned building plans and property-related documents linked to the TMC MP and his family members. Naga groups protest in Manipur demanding the immediate release of 6 men held hostage by suspected Kuki militants. Actor Ranveer Singh banned by Film Body Federation of Western India sign employees amid a row over his abroad exit from Farhan Akhtar's Dawn 3. US President Donald Trump urges several Arab and Muslim nations including Pakistan to recognize Israel and join Abraham Accords once Iran conflict ends. In a major development, Iran's Foreign Ministry says it will not charge toll for crossing the Strait of Hormuz. Pope Leo XIV issues historic apology over Vatican's role in legitimizing slavery. In his first encyclical, the US-born Pope calls the Church centuries-long silence on slavery a wound in Christian memory. Russia's latest assault on Ukraine was not just another missile attack. It was also a message. In one of the heaviest aerial assaults on Kyiv in recent months, Moscow launched nearly 600 drones and 90 missiles. But what grabbed global attention was Russia's use of its new nuclear-capable Oreshnik hypersonic missile. And today, the question is, why is Russia increasingly using weapons like Oreshnik? The answer lies in 3 things: speed, intimidation, and escalation. The Oreshnik is not a conventional cruise missile. It is a hypersonic ballistic missile. That means it travels at extreme speeds, reportedly faster than Mach 10 or nearly 12,000 kilometers per hour. At that speed, air defense systems get only minutes and sometimes just seconds to detect, track, and intercept it. Unlike slower cruise missiles that fly inside the atmosphere, the Oreshnik follows a ballistic trajectory and then dives towards its target at hypersonic speed during the final phase of the flight. And that makes interception extremely difficult. But speed is only one part of the story. The missile is also believed to carry multiple independently targetable re-entry vehicles. In simple terms, one missile can release several warheads during its final phase and potentially strike multiple targets at once. That capability can overwhelm air defense systems because defenders are suddenly forced to track and intercept several incoming threats simultaneously. Military analysts say this is exactly why Russia is using Oreshnik now. Moscow wants to show that Western-backed Ukrainian air defense, including NATO systems, may not be enough against next-generation hypersonic weapons. There is also a large geopolitical message here. Oreshnik reportedly has a range of up to 5,000 kilometers that puts much of Europe within striking distance, including American military bases across the continent. Experts say the missile is not just a battlefield weapon. It is also a psychological weapon, because no one can immediately determine whether an incoming Oreshnik carries a conventional or nuclear payload until it impacts. That uncertainty itself creates fear, and that may be the real objective. As the war enters its 5th year, Russia appears to be shifting towards a strategy built around technological intimidation, long-range pressure, and fear of escalation. On this issue, I am joined by Air Vice Marshal P.K. Shrivastava, retired, Major General Rajan Kochar, retired, and Group Captain V.N. Jha, retired defense expert. also Joint Director, DRDO, when you worked there. Let me straight away go to Air Vice Marshal P.K. Srivastava first. Sir, what objective is this missile serving for the Russians? Simple question.
See, Karthikeya, before we go into this, we ought to also think why they launched this. There was a retaliatory promise given by Putin after the dormitory of mostly women students was attacked in Russian-occupied area of Ukraine. And there were casualties. The 21 students died, 42 or so were very badly injured. There was a lot of damage to building. And also, they had invited BBC and CNN to come and cover this, who declined. So idea was that Western media is running a narrative as far as Russia is concerned, and they are not trying to raise the issues of any kind of genocide, any kind of civilian, casualties or civilian structures being demolished by Ukraine, which is happening. Ukraine is also attacking not only the oil facilities, but also the civilian infrastructure. So there was something to happen to give a very strong and very loud message. So this is part of messaging. When you use Oreshnik, Oreshnik is not only a hypersonic missile, it is also a MIRV, which you mentioned, multiple independently retargetable re-entry vehicle. So that means one missile can really hit many cities or many targets in one go. It has a huge range of 5,500 kilometers, which puts whole of Europe in its range. It can carry nuclear weapon, nuclear warhead. Okay. So it gives you a kind of psychological message that yes, we are coming if we come for that. And if this kind of support continues, Ukraine even today carries about the support of 42 countries. And all Europe is committed to provide them arms and ammunition.
Okay.
There is no talk which is happening around peace. So probably this is a message loud and clear that let's talk about the peace and let's bring this war to an end.
Okay, so you are basically saying that the Russian side of the story is not being told. Okay, fair point. Group Captain Venja, your opening comments. Why hypersonic weapon systems are being deployed in Ukraine? The same damage can be done by a subsonic or a supersonic missile. Why hypersonic systems?
Karthikeyan, I think little differently because my background is R&D. So I think this Oreshnik missile, since it has been developed fairly recently and hasn't had any effective gain on the war front, I also believe that other than what Air Marshal just now mentioned, speed and intimidation or the signaling, it is also got something to refine onto its previous version. Look, Oreshnik cost fortunes. It is several tens of millions of dollars. And with that missile, it won't like to hit a building. Russia will not like to waste that missile into hitting a building or a school or something. No. It is a strategic missile. It is an area strategic missile. It doesn't hit a target spot. It hits that area. It has got the capability to, finish off the vast area. And
okay, I think there's a bit of a problem in your line, so I'll come back to you. We'll rectify it. General Kocher, sir, your opening comments, sir.
Okay, see, I tend to agree what Group Captain Jha has actually mentioned, because Russia wants to test its operational doctrines. And this is not the first time Oreshnik has been fired. This is the third time Russia has used this missile. And as rightly brought out, this missile is for strategic targets. What have been targeted here by this missile is not only the civil infrastructure, because this has been a layered attack. And if you see, the Iskander was also used, the caliber was also used, the KH-101 was also used, because there are a large number of missiles which were used in this attack. So, and Shahid loitering drones were used, ammunition drones were used also. So this was a massive attack. It was not a normal attack. It used around 60 odd missiles and more than 200 drones. So I think this area is a very important strategic signaling to NATO that you are within our range, and testing of this missile is also to see the efficacy of this missile in a combat environment, because most nations don't get to have the opportunity of using these kind of missiles in a combat environment. And especially if I can tell you about China and their, PL-15 and how they were dropping in between these ranges and all, because they were not tested. So I think this is more of testing of operational doctrine. A second aspect is a strategic signaling to NATO, and the third aspect is Russia is also trying to validate its technology, validate whether its missile is capable of traveling all the distance with that kind of a payload, as well as a pinpoint accuracy of the target, because these are precision guided munitions, and the circular error of
General Kocher, tell me, did America test any of its hypersonic system in Iran theater? Do you recall of any?
No, America has not.
America has not.
I don't recall America using its latest missiles. They may have used hypersonic, but
okay. My understanding is that they did not. Okay. Group Captain Jha is back. Sir, your opening comments.
Yeah, look, I'll answer your last question first. Did America test any of these missiles in Afghanistan or Iraq or anywhere? Look, distance between American territory and these areas is vast. If they have to use the ICBM type of missiles for testing, which is not really relevant. Here is another case. Here, Russia and Ukraine are adjacent. So even a smaller payload, even with a smaller, capability to travel, it can hit the target there in that whatever target they have chosen. So that could be one reason why Americans had not chosen. Of course, they have chosen a lot of tested a lot of weapons there in Iraq as well as in Afghanistan, but not this time.
I think
coming back to what I was trying to tell you.
Okay, please go ahead.
Yeah, what I was when we test a missile time and again, there is always a value addition on capability or the performance or the final the objective to be reached. Look, experts on defense.
I think I think we really need to fix that, sir. We really need to fix that. There's a problem in line. Mr. Srivastav, Oreshnik is not one missile. They have Iskander, they have Kinzhal. They have tried Kinzhal also. They have not tried Sarmat. Obviously, it's an intercontinental ballistic missile. But there were reports that they have also tried Iskander somewhere. Is there a general change in defense posturing of Russia that whatever the Americans may do, our missiles are beyond the capacity of NATO and the American defense system? Is this the messaging they are trying to give the larger world? That, whatever THAAD you have, whatever system you have, but if it comes to the war, our systems are going to be invincible.
Karthikeya, I think you hit the nail on the head, because they also, fired Zircon.
Yes.
Zircon was also one of the missiles which is there, very elite missile. The idea is that when Russia is fighting a war under all the economic sanctions, it considered that it is not as potent as US or European might together. So it is fighting the NATO. In a way, NATO supported Ukraine. So there are 42 countries that are supporting Ukraine. So Ukraine is actually getting all the arms, ammunitions, financial support, intelligence support, targeting support from these mighty nations. So in that context, they want to send a message that we can be very destructive. I take this point of Rupi Jha when he says yes, because I have also been in manufacturing of missiles. So I know you would like to refine your, missiles by launching them. We do on in a range kind of situation. So if they fire one, they don't have as many Oreshniks with them. By all estimate, I think it is less than 10, which they possess as of now. So it will not be wasted. So if it is not to be wasted, a message has to be sent that we are still there fighting the war and not fighting Ukraine. Please do not see here that they are fighting Ukraine alone. Here they are fighting the might of 42 countries.
May I just stop you? Is it like a shock and awe weapon, like the Americans through their narrative and Hollywood machinery have used mother of all bombs? Like those shock and awe weapons.
Karthikeya, shock and awe has failed so miserably in Iran that now shock and awe doctrine is taken a backseat. People know it's not going to work. What you're trying to show, that you're trying to show your muscles, that I got muscles to reach out to other countries. I'm fighting Ukraine, all right. I want to send a message that I'm technologically ready, and everybody knows that they are a nuclear state, and they got more number of nuclear warheads than any other country has. So it's the messaging, and I strongly feel, because it's a war which has been going, we can say, forever, and everybody wants to stop it. They are still in occupation of 20% of Ukrainian territory. They know that Trump's own statements, when he was asked, who's not letting the peace happen? He blamed Zelensky more than he blamed Putin. He's on record. He has said this. And he also told Zelensky that you don't hold any cards. All the cards are being provided by somebody else. So he wants that there should be a settlement. And he has already said that NATO is a paper tiger. So in all that context, if Putin sends a message, a very strong message, probably it means it is contextual, it means a lot, and probably it draws people towards thinking about peace.
So let's come back to Zircon. Thank you for mentioning that word. Iskandar, Sarmat, Kinzil, and Oreshnik. General Kochar, if we look at the missile development program of both Americans and Russians, it looks like in last 15-20 years, Russians have been able to move ahead of the Americans. There have been no new testing of the American missile and demonstration in last 20 years. And even their Minuteman 2 or Minuteman 3, they are supposed to undergo some sort of redevelopment or redesign, which Americans are falling behind the schedule.
I think that's a very important observation that you have made, because if you compare the missile program of America with Russia and China also, I would like to include here, because China has a very vibrant missile program, and they keep on testing their missile, the DF series of missiles 24, 26, and they keep on changing the numbers also, and they have got this ICBM capability and the hypersonic capability. I have a strong feeling, though, of course, this is only open source information. I have a strong feeling that there is a collaboration of missile technology between China and Russia, and it would not be beyond them to be sharing some kind of a technological information with each other in order to further the missile program. And if you look at the defense ecosystem of Russia, because I've been a part of this logistics and ammunition in the Indian Army, and what I see is that whatever is getting expended as far as Russians are concerned, it's also being manufactured. And they have not been at all affected by the sanctions, because there is a general belief that because of sanctions, the Russian defense industry is getting weaker. It is not getting weaker, because they have a very fantastic ecosystem, and whatever they need for the missile is coming from China. Because what are the critical elements in the manufacture of the missile, and Rupi Jha will understand it, because he is part of the R&D. You require a rare earth element, you require magnets, you require semiconductors, you require chips. Everything is coming from China. So that is the reason. Whereas the American industry is lamenting today because 78%. I just read a report in one of the think tanks that 78% of the critical components which go into manufacture of missiles, rockets, and aviation spares are coming from China as far as Americans are concerned. And Chinese have put a brake on this now, and that is why Donald Trump went running to China to speak to his counterpart there to stabilize this import regime, things like that. So I definitely your observation, I would second that the Americans are falling way behind, not only in the missiles or the ICBM capability, also in the interceptor capability, because their production of interceptors have reduced to a level now that Japan is complaining.
Wall Street Journal has reported, if I am not wrong, that the THAAD's their capacity has been reduced to 50%, and the Navy Secretary in a congressional hearing said that that is why there is a delay of export of weapons, the second cache, $14 billion, to Taiwan because they want to fortify the Iranian theater. So it's all on record, you know, sir. You're spot on. It's all on record. Mr. Jha is back. Mr. Jha, there was constant problem with your line. So my question is, how do you evaluate Russian missile development program with the American?
Well, look, I to some extent agree with what General just now mentioned about rare earth minerals. Look, for the defense, if India wants something to use in its missile, maybe one of those minerals, China will never spare it. So India will have to manage through the sources which may not be open end or which may not be through the open sources. And what Trump is right now struggling for the rare earth mineral through China is not exactly for the defense industry, but for its various other industry. There are so many other industries. There even the defense manufacturing is through the civil. You know, the very strong magnets are being made by the civil industries there. So the ball game is slightly different, but yes, when we manufacture missiles, and
my question was compare Americans with the Russians.
Exactly. So when Americans are making something, it is open-ended, it is visible. What Russians are making it right now, what they are making, what they are doing the R&D, what they are doing the testing, it may not be visible to eye, and more so for the reason what Air Marshal Srivastava mentioned in the beginning, that what Russia does or what Ukraine does, it is not clearly visible to the entire media. The information, the visuals, what come from the war theater in Ukraine or Russia, it is only being given by the Western sources, and that is what we see with the tinted glass. So don't compare these two there. But then, yes, it is a very understandable fact that Russia doesn't want to be lagged behind. Look, Russia has lost a lot. What I was trying to hint you earlier, very fact that the Hiroshima bomb was dropped because USA was unable to achieve its goals, achieve its objectives in the war front.
Yes.
Now Russia is in the same spot right now. You should not be very surprised whether these are the forerunners, these Oreshniks, are the four conventional warhead Oreshniks, are the forerunner for something else. I don't know. But it could be the reason that when they want to use that, they want to be absolutely precise in choosing their targets. Karthikeyan.
That's a very important point you said. Yes, please. I was just thinking of how to use the word and not to use that N word. Because I believe that N word has to be. I respect you. That N word, unlike many other journalists, has to be spoken in very serious context. So, to you, Mr. Srivastava.
See, Karthikeyan, let me also tell you that I was director production for Bharat Dynamics Limited. So I have the direct experience of manufacturing strategic missiles right up to Agni 5 or ATGMs, all of them. So how the supply chain is managed, through what countries they run through, what Krupi was trying to mention. Captain Jha, I am fully aware of it. Now you asked a very important question. And the question is, between Russia and America, if we need to compare, who has gone on the trajectory of missiles per se better than the other? I'll give a very clear-cut answer. Because Americans were busy in stealth aircraft, in kind of aircraft they wanted to have, and the shields, etc. And they had all the technology with respect to as far as chips are concerned, and Taiwan was at their disposal. While if you want, also you should understand that 95% chips for all military missiles come from same Taiwan. Same Taiwan, what we call, that manufacturing for which everybody has his eye. Taiwan is most juicy because of that, including, whether the countries are fighting each other or otherwise, including us. But the logistics routes are different for everybody. America gets it directly, but their number of production and surge capacity of Americans because of their dispersal is very poor. You'll be shocked to know that Americans make only 90 Tomahawk missiles in a year. While we as Indians, I can't tell you, we at least 100 times, 6-7 times more missiles we make of Akash type. We had that capacity, we enhanced the surge, because you need to have surge capacity. Makes me feel
very good tonight.
There is no surge capacity with Americans as of now. They're spread thin. Interceptors are a problem with Americans. And Americans took it, they went on a different trajectory, and Russians went on a different trajectory. Russians knew that a stealth aircraft is very costly business. So they were not into that much. They didn't have the power of money as much at their disposal. So they went by the other route, which is the missiles route. And China, in this sense, technologically is a beneficiary of Russia.
I think
China is not, he's the logistics.
No, absolutely. I think you made a very important point, and I will do a discussion on that, because I have read an article that how the Chinese worked on a strategy of building defense against the American aircraft carriers was through IRBMs, to deny them that space and access around China. But that's for some other day. Thank you all of you for joining me on why Russians have deployed hypersonic missiles in the Ukrainian theaters. And for my viewers, please don't go away, because on the second on point, which is after the break, we're going to talk about the heat wave and the rush that it has created from Manali to Nainital to Kodai Canal, and what is happening to the Himalayas.
इसमें फाइबर, बीटा ग्लूकोन, प्रोटीन, मैग्नीशियम तत्व, इसलिए ये शारीरिक संतुलन के साथ साथ शरीर को स्वस्थ रखता है।